Okay, I've been a little busy, but a guy asked me to draw the C gap run against an even front with tight defensive ends, and I just want to start with this. This guy is, unless you have an add-on here, okay. This guy's a contained guy. He can't let the. He's got to box the ball or at least run to the sideline to keep the ball from getting outside of him. Somehow you've got to detach this add-on. Either give him something over here, trips, or extend somebody, put a flanker out here, get somebody out of that dance, and you want to not have an add-on sitting here waiting on the ball. Okay, but let's just start with the simple stuff. Okay, the first thing you got to do, C gap. To me, everyone everyone that listens to me, we talk about the read spot. Okay, and the read spot and C gap run, whether it's from sidecar or from the eye, we say it's somewhere around the tight end, inside leg, crack of the tight end, or the ghost tight end. Okay, and that's an important thing. Uh, the problem with all these yellow lights is it's two gap. Okay, um, they can help you out by going into four down with sort of a shade, but I think defenses are getting a little smarter. And this thing, you get your in goes, out goes, middle X's, all that stuff. So, let's deal with this. The first thing we're going to do is talk about the center. The center, in my way of thinking, is an Apache. He's going to encircle whatever he can until he winds up in the stovepipe, and the stovepipe goes from here to here. Okay, it's the first two gaps inside the read spot. But he's going to encircle. Okay, and he is. I use arc. The reason I use arc is I'm a fuss budget, but recently I've been thinking a lot about it. If you can skip, that's great. But if you're running from under center, skipping might be a little hairy for the center. Okay, from the shotgun, it's pretty good, but I just feel as though the center's up. He's close. He's closer to the line of scrimmage than these guys. These guys are, especially if they're in 2 point stances, they're off pretty good. So we tell him to step deep and arc, okay, and then circle. All right, hang on. I'm gonna draw the next guy. Okay, I drew two guys, the tight end and the tackle. And the pain in the neck about two gap, okay, is you don't know which way this guy's going. The good thing is you can take one little step and your guy has given up leverage. Now, they don't really care about that. They attack the blocker. Okay, that's what two gaps really all about, attacking the blocker. But I just want you to consider this. We've got the outside leg back in our stance, so that slide veer that we talked about on the veer side of A gap runs, okay, it's it's pretty good. It's not bad. I mean, you're already deep, and what you want to do is not give up the midline. Put your foot right in the crotch and stuff the man back. Keep him there. Okay, now he might spike, and this guy might spike, and we'll talk about that in a second. But as you slide, you look to your gap and stuff the man. Now this guy, he's got an easy job. Okay, all he's got to do is stuff it to the tackle or keep it pinned. Okay, this guy is a little bit tougher. He's got to make sure he gives enough presence to this guy. He's got to make sure that he can stuff it back to the guard. And the good news is this is almost a match. This guy doesn't have to go very far, and neither does he, because they've already got leverage. Now, if they help you out and give you a nice boxing or wide nine or jet nine and 2 point stance, we're gold. We're gold. Okay. You're just going to match this guy and try and drive him to the sideline. If he allows you to cover him, you cover him and tear him, and everything's great. But these two gap things, a little hairy. Okay, I'm going to pause it again. I'm going to draw the last guy. Okay, we'll talk about the guard here. Now, the guard, I used to call this guy the stretcher. I remember a kid called me up and it was, you know, I don't work on this every day. And he said, "What about the stretcher?" And I said, well, I don't know. I don't use that term, but I actually do or did use that term. But what he's got to do is get out of the center's way. Okay. We don't want him to scoot. We want him to shuffle out of the center's way. Okay. He's got to get off. He's not going to try and put his foot in the crotch. He's going to shuffle off. But we don't smoke out of there. Okay. We have a system that tells us who the point backer is and who gets them. Okay. And we use point backer. You can use spot, but we really need to use point in the C gap run, I think, because you got to make sure you get hats because the back is going out here and he's crossing all these defenders. So we got to know. But let's just say the center decided that he wanted this guard, okay, and that is the right guard. All right, I got this thing backward. Yeah, the right guard. Okay, he would say, "Right guard, I want you on the point backer. I'm going to say right," and that tells these guys that we think the defense is lined so that right is the call. Now, if this guy was a three technique and the backer was here, he might say rip, which means that he's got him. But in the C gap run, we'd rather say right, and I'll tell you why. The backside people are full Apache, okay? And he's going to skip out of there, shuffle, whatever he has to do to get into that gap, square to air. And he's going to Heisman with one arm back on this defender and set him up for the overtake. Now, of course, if this thing collapses or runs with him, okay, he's going to put the brakes on and grab it, and that'll allow him to put the brakes on, shove it, and maybe shut this thing off. But basically, they're working these two guys or anybody that hits it, okay? It's always been sort of a spot system to begin with. And remember, we're not smoking out of there. When we're on air, it's red light. So we're putting ourselves into air, red light, square to air, Heisman, one hand, just one. Okay. And you could say, well, one hand here too. As a matter of fact, I used to say one hand, but I think you got to be a little more physical. So I'd probably stuff that. Okay. But getting back to this thing, this should be all shut off. Anything that hits the center. So the center would be saying right. And what we can do rather than stuff is we can rewind and chip this back to the center. Okay, it all depends on what happens to the center. Of course, if this man comes with the guard grabs him, the center's now in red light. He squares to air, and he's looking for run throughs. He's looking for anything, loopers, whatever, a looper coming from the front side. But he gets square to air. But in this case, if he's got the Apache, okay, he's going to try and encircle it, and if he can't, he's going to try and cover it, and he'll get a little help from the guard. But it's imperative that the guard moves off this man. Now, he can't go smoking out of there because this guy will be in the backfield. There's plenty of film if you want to watch it of guys doing that. Okay, what he wants to do, remember, is give some presence, okay, to the tackle. All right, I'm going to pause this for a second. So unless they have some sort of a game on, okay, where they're spiking, whatever, it's going to work out like this. This man is going to attack the tackle. This man is going to attack the tight end. Remember, they're playing stuffed, so they're playing long, long. They're moving away. They've got leverage on the first step. They don't have to worry about it. They want to try and keep that end and that wheel right where they're at, okay, and the ball will just go whoop, okay. But if it gets stretched, okay, they'll tear it out. If this thing gets stretched, he'll tear it out. If this man spikes, he's got to stuff it back and not leave. Okay, same thing with him. He's got to stuff it back and not leave. He can't. These guys cannot leave. Okay, they cannot what we call vacate. They can't vacate these two cats until they feel something, grab it. And remember, when we're looking this way, we've got the see side. This is the blind side. Okay. I don't know about you, but you see with your eyes, and blind people feel with their hands. You've got to feel that pressure while you keep your eyes here. Okay. If this end were to go in, he'd stuff it. Okay. And it would turn into what we call so we call rip, right? Ram. Ram would be the tackles man on the point, or the tackle on the point. Okay. If this happened, the tight end would stuff it back, and he would hang around, can't vacate, make the backer come to him. But that's good news because that ball is going to get downhill pretty quick. Okay. That's the way I would handle it. This is the key, though, right here. He's got a Apache, and he has got to get off the center without piercing, because as soon as he pierces, the center's got a hell of a job. He can't, hard to do, hard to do. The whole idea for all this system, and I don't know if it's the best way to do it. The guys make a lot, I mean, if you're going to man block this thing, why don't you just run pin and pull? You block down, you wrap around, whatever. Okay. But if you're going to zone it, okay, this is the way I did it. Okay. And we were okay. We a lot of times we ran the ball pretty good. And one thing we never did was give up a TFL. Okay. I've seen guys do other ways and they give up the TFL. And remember, none of this works. None of this works unless you coil. None of it. Okay. None of it works unless you've got proper hand placement. If you're flailing, if you're getting hit in the chest, all that other stuff. None of it works if you run. Okay. You get knocked around. When you run, you're on one foot. When this guy Apaches, remember, he's going to step deep with the right foot and he's going to drag the left foot. Okay. He's never going to let the left foot precede his right foot. It's sort of a reverse of a gallop. Okay. He's going to roll that shoulder down so he doesn't get hit in the side. He's going to take the target away and he's going to Apache this. Okay. I don't believe in using big fat kids at centers. I don't care if they're fat and I don't care if they're big, but they got to be agile. They got to be able to do this. If they can do this, if they can Apache with a little help, okay, we're in great shape. And once again, this guy is going to step, stuff. Okay, he might be able to get away with the Heisman. It depends. It all depends on what kind of a guy this is. Okay, step, stuff, or step and rewind and chip it back. Okay, define it, but define it for the center. Okay, define it. And of course, if this thing gets muddy for the guard, he's just going to make a hole. He's going to make a hole. Okay, and if they wind up with a double team, the backer either comes to him because the hole gets so big, or the backer goes over the top and maybe the back comes to him. Okay, pretty simple stuff, I think. Let me know what you think. Give me a like. I don't know. Okay, thanks. See you next time.